Hey, it's Andy Lockwood, Lockwood College Prep, and usually I confine these types of monthly, here's what you should be doing now, updates to our clients only. However, there's so much stuff going on now, October 2022, that I felt like I should really open this up to everyone who is part of our community, client and non-community alike. Because I feel like this information is not getting out. And I'm talking specifically about what's happening with student loan forgiveness. So let me just run down my list of here's what you should be doing now items for clients and non-clients alike, just to help you out. If you have any questions, you can pop them right here if you're live with me on Facebook. And otherwise, you can just email me. And this is going to be, as usual for my clients, not only stored as a recording in your client-only website, but also transcribed and sent out as part of our monthly snail mail newsletter. Wow. So you have that going for you, which is nice. So, okay. So what's happening now in October of 2022 for class of 23 graduates? So a lot of our clients have already filed their college applications on the Common App and other places. There's still plenty of people who have not yet filed in advance of typically November early action or early decision deadlines. There's a few colleges that have October 15th early deadlines. I think Georgia might be one of them. North Carolina might be another one. So now is the time to really, this is a Captain Obvious statement here, but now is the time to really get those done, meaning finalizing not just the applications, but the essays, particularly the supplemental essays, which are usually shorter and less painful, but possibly more important than the actual main essays. And the reason I say that is because in the last 2 years, common application submissions are up 20%. And for many colleges, they don't have a good feel for whether people who actually are applying, if they're actually going to show up. So what they do is look to other demonstrated signs of interest, like did you come and visit? Did you attend info sessions where you log in? And how good a job did you do on the supplemental applications? So one of the supplemental essays on the applications. So one of the common mistakes that I see kids make is they'll write an answer to a supplemental question, an essay question along the lines of, I really think that your program for XYZ is terrific, and I've heard good things about it. Or I heard, I went on the tour, they mentioned how great that department was. And that may or may not be sincere, but what it's definitely not is specific and convincing. So you need to be a lot more specific and refer to specific courses that might be listed on their online syllabus, specific professors, specific programs. Don't be generic, be specific. So that's just a little side tip there. Everything's got to be finished up. For financial aid for class of 2023, the FAFSA and the CSS profile, those applications were released last week, October 1st. And that does not mean they are due October 1st. There is no rush. There is no first come, first served. Most priority financial aid deadlines, which are different than the college application deadlines, those occur usually November, December, possibly January, February, March. So our practice here, and when I say our, I mean Pearl's practice, is to find out the earliest deadline and then just get everything done. So everything's submitted. So as long as you make your priority deadline, that's great. But after you file, that's not when things end. After you file, there's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of follow-up requests for more information or claiming that they didn't get the information. So you have to send it and then resend it. By the way, same thing with the application for admissions. Once you apply, you're not done. Once you hit that submit button, you're not done because you've got to make sure that the colleges have received everything. Typically, what they'll do for admissions is assign you a portal, and then you can log in and see. Sometimes everything will look fine. Other times there'll be red X's or some sort of alarming symbol in there indicating that they haven't received something. I would always urge you to not panic, but to give it a couple of days, because just because the teachers from your high school sent their letters of recommendation doesn't mean that someone in the admissions office is perched, waiting to update the portal. Sometimes it takes a couple of days for them to do that. But if 2 or 3 days go by after you know that they've received whatever is they're indicating they have not received, then I would email or call and just make sure they got it and keep following up until that status changes on the portal. Don't do it every day, but follow up every 3 or 4 days. But I wouldn't worry about it. And you can resend the same thing. That still may not update the portal. So back to financial aid, it's the same thing. They're going to give you a list of what's missing, or really what additional information they need. So if it's stuff that you've already submitted, they could be asking for it again and again. Same type of reason. You're dealing with a bureaucracy in the financial aid office. But sometimes you have to respond with more substantive information, because what you may have filed already on the FAFSA and the CSS profile might have triggered an additional question or two about something. So it's not like it was missing. It's just that they need more information. All right, segueing into loan forgiveness. So Pearl and I, if you're local and you happen to be one of the 5 people who subscribes, Pearl and I were just featured in a front page article on in Newsday yesterday, which is pretty cool. I'm going to give you the highlights so you don't have to subscribe to log in to read the whole thing. The highlights are, number 1, it's under legal attack and it may not happen. But number 2, the loan forgiveness applications are coming out any day. And I saw a sneak peek of them, and they are pretty easy. It's really just name, address, social security number, and a few other things. And then boom, sign and submit. In this case, it is important to get those in right away, because it sounds like from the Department of Education that they're going to be processing everything in tranches or waves. I am anticipating, because it's the government, a lot of problems getting all this stuff processed, but at least the application is simple enough that you can do it and get it in really quickly. Supposedly, you're going to receive emails once the applications are ready. I assume that's the case, but who knows? So once the application is submitted, it's going, supposedly, according to the Department of Ed, they're going to start forgiving loans and updating credit reports and all that by the end of the year. I'm skeptical about that, but we'll see. So the trick is going to be following up and monitoring your credit, monitoring the documentation from your loan servicers. So if you have a student loan and someone's servicing that loan, and there should be login instructions, somewhere buried in your email, now is a good time to start getting hold of those instructions so you can log into your loan servicers and see your payment history, your balances, and things like that. So that's really important. All right, in terms of younger kids, 24, 25, class 26. So if you're a 2024 kid, great time to be thinking about the SAT and the ACT. Taking it once in the fall and twice in the spring, and hopefully being done with it. We offer test prep courses and one-on-one tutoring. There's a lot of free information out there, but don't blow it off just because you're too busy with school. It is important to get your test scores as high as possible. Even though colleges are test optional, or many colleges are still test optional, there's a difference between applying test optional and getting in test optional. And there's a difference between getting in test optional and getting merit aid, because most colleges that give out merit aid seem to prefer that you submit scores, SAT and ACT scores. So it's a good time to think about that. If you have someone who's a 2025 or younger grad, it's on the early side to be studying for the SAT or the ACT, but think ahead to this summer as the best time to start prepping. Other than that, we've got a few more openings on the high school calendar where you can go visit colleges that while they're in session. So we just had Indigenous Peoples Day. I want to shout out to all my fellow Indigenous folks. I'm not Indigenous to here, but Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, happy Columbus Day for those of you observing the traditional holiday. But that was a good opportunity to visit some colleges while they're in session. We've got Veterans Day coming up. That's in November. So if you can steal away from school or your school activities, go see small and medium and large schools just to get a feel for what they're like when people are actually on campus. I think that's a great idea to do. And the other thing is to think about, what am I doing extracurricularly? What am I doing that's going to help me stand out? That's going to demonstrate some sort of character, ideal character for admissions officers. So I was talking yesterday to a great kid who just started working with us as a private client, and he is in Scouts, and he indicated that he's going to be pursuing his Eagle Award. And I said, that's a great example of something that's going to help you stand out, because so many kids do Scouts, but only 4% go on to attain that rank of Eagle. Similarly, it's great to be in National Honor Society, but usually at any given high school, that's about 70% of the kids, maybe higher. But if you become an officer, you go on to a secretary, treasurer, president, vice president, or something like that, that is atypical. So it's great to be in clubs. It's atypical to be, a leader in clubs, but you don't have to confine yourself to that too. I have another client I was talking to about doing some stuff outside of school, because he's super busy, like a lot of the 11th graders that I work with one-on-one. And he loves to talk about current events, and he's a very good communicator, and he's a debater. And I said, hey, you like talking about this stuff. Why don't you do a podcast? Just, take your phone out and start recording conversations you're having with people. They can be, 30 minutes. They could be 6 minutes, and put those up online. Just the same way I do. Like, this is going to be part of our podcast, The College Planning Edge. It's also going to be a YouTube video. And it's just, getting it out there. So, for me, look, there's a lot of people who are college advisors, who are guidance counselors, but very few do stuff like what I'm doing, which is, just talking about this on various social media places. It's the same thing as when you're applying to college. You have to be able to stand out in the right way to answer a serious, fundamental question, which actually is not on the college applications, but it's still the question that has to be answered, because it's in the minds of every admissions officer, which is along the lines of, why should we take you compared to these, it could be 50,000 other kids. It could be, if you're applying to Northeastern, they got 90,000 applications last year. And I would guess that 90% of them fell within a certain range in terms of GPA and test scores. And that might be the range that you're in. So why should I take you compared to these other 90,000 kids who basically look the same as you do on paper? How do you answer that? Well, the answer is by saying, look, this is how I'm different. This is how I have, tried to stand out. Just like I'm doing here, I'm eating my own cooking. And that's what I try to help kids figure out how to do, is how to learn how to advocate for themselves persuasively and stand out for the right reasons, which is not really a get into college skill only. It's a big, broader, life skill, because the people who are generally the most successful in life have learned how to advocate for themselves successfully, in addition to being good at whatever their craft is. So that's the thing about us here at Lockwood College Prep, is that we are college advisors, but I personally don't really give a crap where anyone goes to college. It's really much more about helping them launch themselves for success, not in the 4 years of college, but the 40 or 50 years afterward. And that can be done through a variety of colleges, not just the super elite ones by any means. All right. So I hope you found this helpful and valuable. You're probably not getting this information anywhere else, certainly not from your high school guidance departments. So if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us by email. Our main email is vip@lockwoodcollegeprep.com. If you're a private client, you already know how to access us differently through the secret back channels. And check out, our website for more information, webinars coming up, stuff like that, lockwoodcollegeprep.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.